Welcome back, Giants fans. Rough night for me. Just watched the Yankees get destroyed by the Mets. I'm sure some of you watched that game. I think the score was 10-3. Our catcher had a rough game, of course. Sanchez and Gleyber Torres can't play defense. But anyway, on to Giants football, and that's more of a bright side because right now we're 0-0, 0-0, however you want to say it, and football starts on Sunday, probably tomorrow when you're watching this video. So the Giants are home week 1 against the Denver Broncos, but the Giants are 3-point underdogs. I have to include that as well. And so one of the main things I'll get into with this game, and some people have said this, especially Giants fans, is like, who the hell are the Broncos? Why are they favored? They had 5 wins last year. They're not even good. And I get that. But if you're a Denver fan, you're probably looking at it saying, who the hell are the Giants? Like, they didn't do anything the past 4 years. And I know they added guys. They look better on paper, but they haven't put it together yet. So I feel like both fan bases are probably saying, like, oh, who the hell is this? Who are these guys? And all that. But I will say, I'm a person that respects the Denver Broncos more than most Giant fans based on the perception I've been getting, whether it's from other YouTubers or Twitter or whoever's talking about the game. And there are some people that expect the Broncos to flat out kill the Giants. I think Benjamin Albright, or is it Ben Albright? Benjamin? I don't know what he goes by, but Ben Albright on Twitter, I think, posted his prediction. It was like 31-10 Broncos, I believe. Now, as you guys know, I did pick the Broncos to win in my schedule prediction video, but I do not think 31-10 is going to be the score. Like, I think this is going to be a really close game, a 3 or 4 point game. And if a couple things go the Giants' way, they can definitely win this one. So I don't really get the whole Broncos come in here and kill us type thing. I don't really see that one happening. If it does, that's definitely a cause for concern. But I think overall it's going to be a very close game. Who has the least amount of turnovers, field position, all that stuff that's not too exciting, but will end up winning the football game. So let's get into it. Some of the game notes here. The injuries. Saquon Barkley, questionable, but he's going to play. Adoree Jackson, same thing, going to play. Evan Engram is out. So that's the one, downside. Maybe an upside for some of you. I know a lot of people don't like Evan Engram. I get it. Kyle Rudolph's going to play. Kenny Galladay's going to play. Kadarius Toney's going to play. So the Giants do have a lot of their weapons coming back here, which is definitely great. Getting their cornerback too as well. Now as for the Broncos, I have their per game ranks over here of what they did last year. And yeah, the Broncos were not that good of a team last year. I think Drew Lock held that team back. The Broncos had a ton of defensive injuries. Von Miller didn't play at all, I think, in 2020. Jarrell Casey didn't play. A.J. Boye didn't play. They had a lot of secondary injuries, but now you look at the Broncos and they added a lot of guys to this team, and their defense, I think, got a lot better. And one of my bold predictions in a video I did recently was that the Denver Broncos will have a top 5 defense. I definitely respect Vic Fangio, the head coach of the Broncos. He had a great defense in Chicago for a while, came to Denver, has done a pretty nice job with what he's been given there for the Broncos. But we'll go down the depth chart of the Broncos and some of what I expect from these guys. Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, that's like the big thing. Teddy Bridgewater's not that good. Some people say he's serviceable. Some people think he's pretty good. Teddy Bridgewater, to me, is a bridge quarterback, pun intended, kind of. But he's a guy who's not going to do much for you. He'll have, a touchdown or two. He'll take care of the ball. There's some rushing upside with him. He's not going to run for, 1,000 yards anytime soon, but he can run the ball when he needs to. And just overall, he's a safe, dink and dunk type guy, but if you give him the deep ball and a guy's wide open, he'll take it. So he played in Carolina last year, had his ups and downs. I think the year started out pretty well for him. I think the Panthers were off to a 3-2 start, but they finished the year at like 5-11, I believe. So it was a good start, but it kind of, tapered off there. Running backs, Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams. I'm a big Javonte Williams believer. He is a rookie out of North Carolina, very talented player. As a Giants fan, I hope that Melvin Gordon plays more because I think, Javonte's a lot more talented, so hopefully they go with the veteran Melvin Gordon there. They get Courtland Sutton back. Courtland Sutton's a really good receiver, kind of like, I don't want to say a poor man's Kenny Galladay. That's too much of an insult, but Courtland Sutton just a couple years ago, 2019, had an 1,100-yard season. He's a really good receiver, a bigger guy on the outside, so got to watch out for him. Jerry Jeudy, one of the top probably 3 receivers in that draft class last year, next to Justin Jefferson and who am I forgetting? There's another receiver in there. I mean, not Henry Ruggs. Who's the other guy? CeeDee Lamb, who we watched last night. CeeDee Lamb, of course, really good player. Right now, Jefferson looks like the best out of that group, but I do not take Jerry Jeudy lightly. He's a very good route runner. The drops were an issue last year, but we'll see if he fixes that. Even Tim Patrick's a good receiver. KJ Hamler, he was a second-round pick out of Penn State just a couple years ago. A speedster. He's a smaller guy, but definitely can beat you deep. Got to watch out for him. Even their tight end, Noah Fant. He's a not an athletic freak, but a very athletic tight end. He's kind of like a bigger Evan Engram, if you want to put it that way. I do think he's more talented. He was once a very high pick in the draft. I believe that Fant was like a top, 12 or 13 pick just a couple years back, so he's a very talented guy. And Denver's offensive line, this is where they differ from the Giants. Denver actually has a pretty good offensive line. I don't know where they're ranked from, PFF or Football Outsiders, but looking at some of the names here, Garrett Bowles, their left tackle, who I think was in his third year or fourth year last year, I think it was his third year, he played out of his mind. He had his best season yet in the NFL. Dalton Reisner was a second-round pick a couple years ago, their left guard. He's gotten off to not the best start, but definitely a serviceable guard so far in the NFL, so he hasn't been bad. Lloyd Cushenberry, their center, I think some Giants fans looked at Lloyd Cushenberry as a potential center that this team could draft last year because we were not sure about who the center was going to be, but of course Nick Gates came on and had a nice year. But Lloyd Cushenberry, definitely disappointed last year, but could be better. They also have Quinn Miners waiting behind him. I don't know who's going to start for them, but I had to guess it's probably going to be Cushenberry based on the experience. Graham Glasgow, a right guard, very good player. I mean, that's another guy right there, a good guard. And then Bobby Massey, their right tackle. They also have Cam Fleming, by the way, as well. I did not know that at right tackle. So Bobby Massey, though, has been a serviceable right tackle for the Chicago Bears for at least the last few years. So, I mean, they have a pretty... it's not the best offensive line in the league. It's not the Browns or anything like that, but it's a pretty good offensive line. I would say it's above average. So they have an offensive line that I kind of respect there. Now, for the Broncos defense, I mean, this is where things get tough, and I talked about Vic Fangio being a good defensive play caller, a good defensive scheme that many other guys around the league, try to imitate here. I think we've seen it with, who's the Chargers head coach now? Brandon Staley, I believe, is kind of taking that same concept, and Brandon Staley had a number one defense for the Rams last year. So what the Broncos do defensively, a lot of people try to mimic around the league, and that definitely bodes well for a guy like Vic Fangio. But Shelby Harris, a very good player. I mean, he's definitely very underrated. I was a fan of going after him in the free agency if we did not get Leonard Williams, but of course he re-signed with the Broncos. They also have Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb, of course, was the, I believe, 5th overall pick back in that 2018 draft. He's gotten off to a nice start in his career. He tore his ACL one year, but he was really good as a rookie. I think he played kind of injured last year, but had a pretty nice year. Then, of course, you have Von Miller on the other side. Von Miller did not play last year, but Von Miller is probably a future Hall of Famer. I know he's like 32 now, but still, Von Miller coming back after a year of not playing. You're always concerned about that because these guys, want to prove that they're still great, want to make a statement, and who better than to play than the Giants' offensive line? So I'm kind of concerned about Von Miller. Even their secondary, very good secondary. I mean, Kyle Fuller was a really good player for the Bears for a while. They surprisingly cut him. I know they owed him a lot of money, but surprisingly cut him. He goes back and plays with his former defensive coordinator once again in Vic Fangio. Patrick Surtain, he was the 10th overall pick this year out of Alabama. A lot of people like him. I think he's going to be a really good player. Kareem Jackson, yes, he's up there in age, but had a fantastic year for the Broncos last year. Justin Simmons is one of the highest paid safeties in football, just got a big contract, really good ball hawking safety. Ronald Darby played with the Philadelphia Eagles and recently the Washington football team last year. Really solid corner on the other side. And then you have Bryce Callahan in the slot, who played out of his mind last year as well. So the Broncos have so much depth in their secondary, and they're really good there. I think their secondary, it might be a bit better than ours. I still think the Giants and Broncos have top 10 secondaries, but the Broncos may be a bit better because they are looking very stacked here. But anyway, their kicker is Brandon McManus, former Giant, if anyone cares. But really what it comes down to in this game is who doesn't beat themselves the most. If the Giants go out there and have a game where they win the time of possession, they win the turnover battle, and those type of things, and the field position, I could see the Giants winning this game. But on the other side, if Daniel Jones fumbles the ball once, if there's a special teams mistake and stuff like that happens, then the Giants don't have a lot of margin for error in a game like this. I will say, because I don't think Denver's going to beat themselves. I would be surprised. On defense, yes, they have new guys in their secondary, but as I mentioned, Kyle Fuller played for Vic Fangio for a few years for Chicago, so he knows his system, and the safeties are still there from last year. I know Surtain's new, but Bryce Callahan played there the last couple years. They have some stability in that secondary, and that's been one of my biggest things about this game is that the Giants don't have the continuity and stability that the Broncos have had in this preseason. The Broncos, as far as I know, have not had too many guys out due to injury in the preseason. I could be wrong, but I don't remember seeing anybody. So the Giants, on the other hand, of course, no Kenny Golladay throughout the preseason. no Saquon Barkley throughout the preseason. I don't think John Ross played in the preseason. Kyle Rudolph did not play in the preseason. So like those are 4 pretty important pieces right there. I know Ross might be off that list, but 3 really important guys. Kadarius Toney, I think I forgot too. Kadarius Toney's another one. Like there is 4 or 5 guys on the Giants, receiving core basically and running back that have not played in the preseason and don't really have a rapport with Daniel Jones. And that kind of concerns me because like you want these guys to be on the same page. As I said, there's no margin for error in a game like this. And then the Giants offensive line. Could we be overreacting to one half of football against the Patriots? We could, but the offensive line didn't show us anything to make us believe they're going to be great in week 1. Like the offensive line may be a work in progress. And here the Giants are trotting out Nate Solder, who hasn't played football in over a year. I don't know what to expect him. He did play in the preseason, I will say. Let me preface that. He played in the preseason, but has not played in a regular season football game since 2019. So like that's a concern right there. And Nate Solder has not played right tackle since like 2011 when he was a rookie. So like it's been a long time. So I have my concerns, of course. Now, I feel pretty good about Will Hernandez. I think he's going to have a nice bounce back year. But even for like left guard, Shane Lemieux, left tackle, Andrew Thomas, who I still have confidence in, but like I'm coming in a bit more like cautiously optimistic about Thomas. I mean, in the offseason, I feel like Thomas was a no doubt bounce back, going to have a great season type guy. But after seeing the preseason, I'm like, all right, let me pump the brakes a bit. But I still feel pretty good about Andrew Thomas as a whole. Now, is week 1 going to be tough against this pass rush? Absolutely. I don't expect it to be too easy. And another part of this game is how much does Saquon Barkley get used? Is Saquon Barkley going to get 10 carries? Is it going to be 15 carries? 12? I have no idea. If you guys want me to guess right now, my guess is that Saquon Barkley receives 9 carries and gets 4 targets in the passing game. That's a lot actually. 3 targets in the passing game and like 9 rushing attempts is my like guess for Saquon Barkley. And the other half might be Devontae Booker. Probably will be Devontae Booker. So like taking Saquon out and putting Devontae Booker in, that's a pretty big drop off. So like you don't want to see that. And I don't think the Giants are going to run Saquon Barkley into the ground in his first game back. So that will hurt them, of course. Now for the receiving core, I don't know what's going to happen. Do the Giants have enough time to draw up these, long developing routes down the field? Can you realistically have Daniel Jones sit in the pocket for 3, 4, 5 seconds against the pass rush like this? I don't know. Can you expect that? I feel like Jason Garrett, based on who we're playing, is going to have a lot of quick passing concepts, and fans won't like it, but like, what else are you going to do? If you can't block these guys for more than 2 seconds, what are you supposed to do? You can't draw up a deep play, 15 times this game because Daniel Jones might be sacked 5 times on those plays. So like you can't have that. I think the Giants have to have more of a conservative type offense, and the short passing game may be the way to go here. I think utilizing Kyle Rudolph over the middle of the field, utilizing Kadarius Toney or Sterling Shepard out of the slot is going to be pretty important in this game. And you want to get the run game going, whether it is Devontae Booker, whether it is Saquon Barkley. You want to get the run game going. So like that's a pretty big aspect of this game. Now, as for the Giants defense, I don't have too many concerns. There's a lot of continuity there. I know they're adding like Adoree Jackson, but he had a really great camp apparently, according to the beat reporters. I think he'll be fine, honestly. And the defense is pretty much the same as it was last year. Same defensive coordinator. You're playing a quarterback that's not going to throw for 5 touchdowns against you in Teddy Bridgewater. As I said, he's nothing great. Teddy Bridgewater is a bottom 6 or 7 starting quarterback in football, maybe lower. If he comes in and kills us, that's going to be a bad look, but I'm not concerned about that. I think our defense will be fine. I personally feel like the Broncos will have trouble establishing the run as much as I like Javonte Williams and the offensive line of Denver. I think our front 3 is very good against the run, so it's going to be tough to run against us. And the one thing we can't have, though, is the Broncos having a bunch of big explosive plays. That's the one concern I have. And Noah Fant, who is their athletic tight end once again, Noah Fant, the Broncos tight end, against our linebackers and safeties, that kind of concerns me as well. Can Jabril Peppers stay with him stride for stride? Can Blake Martinez, Tay Crowder, guys like that remain with him stride for stride? Because if Noah Fant, who runs, I don't know what he runs, like a 4.5, maybe 4.6, whatever it is, if a guy like that athletic is running a crosser and you're giving Bridgewater enough time to throw because our pass rush sometimes is not too existent, then he might hurt us for some big plays. So I do have my concerns about that, of course. But if the usual guys step up for this team on the pass rush, like Leonard Williams and even Lorenzo Carter coming back this year, hopefully he has a bounce back year, maybe Azeez Ojulari and O'Shane Zimenez get worked in there, then we should be fine. But I think Leonard Williams has to have a big game in this one, and Dexter Lawrence has to get pressures as well. You're not going to expect many sacks out of Dexter Lawrence, but get some pressures and kind of get Teddy Bridgewater moving out the pocket. Don't let him sit back there and have all day to throw. You don't want to see that. So, yeah, man, that's pretty much my expectations for this game. I used to do score predictions all the time. I don't want to do that because I feel like when I pick the Giants to lose, I feel dirty about it. I don't want to do it. But I will say, you guys know how I picked to win this game. Of course, I hope to be wrong, but I just have too many concerns and too much has to go right for the Giants to win this game. But as I mentioned, just a couple of things have to go our way. A lucky break on special teams, win the turnover battle. If we run the ball effectively, we should win this game. Like, this is not impossible to win. Like, this Broncos team is not a juggernaut in the NFL. Like, the Broncos are similar to us. I think the Giants coming into this year are like a 7, 8, 9 win type of team. I think Denver's like an 8, 9, or 10 win team. It's like we're close. We're like right in the same ballpark. I think Denver might be like a tiny bit better. They do play in a tougher division, which does hurt them. But I think talent-wise, it's a pretty close matchup here. But the Giants, of course, as I said, have not really had the continuity and stability you want in the preseason, especially with the weapons and their rapport with Daniel Jones. So that's my problem personally. But I do expect a close game. I don't expect the Ben Albright 31-10 type score. I expect a closer game, just something like a 2016, a 21-17, something around there. I don't think it's going to be very high scoring. It probably won't be a 6-3 game, but I expect somewhere in the 20s to late teens for both teams. So we'll see how it goes, though. I want to start off 1-0. I'm tired of these 0-1 starts. We've seen it. I wrote it down somewhere. Yeah, 1-0 one time. The Giants have started 1-0 one time since the start of 2011. The last time the Giants won a home game week 1, I believe, was the first game at MetLife. And I think Hakeem Nicks had a couple touchdowns. They played the Carolina Panthers, who I think might have been like a 1-win team that year or a 2-win team. So it's been a long time since we won a home game week 1 and won in week 1 in general. The last time, of course, was at Dallas 2016. The Giants started off 2-0 that year. So hopefully we get the same thing. Hopefully for this team, it's a quick 2-0 start. I think the Giants play next Thursday as well. So we play Sunday, play Thursday. 2-0, we're chilling, 10 days off, we feel great about ourselves, but at the minimum, the Giants have to go 1-1, and getting this game right now would be huge. I've seen some Giants fans call this a must-win game. I'm not going to go there. I think this is a game where, for the Giants and a team that has so much expectations like they do, it's going to be tough to lose this one as compared to a team like the Chiefs or something. If the Chiefs lose week 1, then okay, who cares? But like for a team like this, with all the expectations and the money they spent in the offseason and free agency, you can't really go out in week 1 and get your ass kicked. You can't see it. So but I will say this. If the Giants lose this game, then I think Thursday is a must win. I will say, I flat out believe that. I think if you lose this game on Sunday against Denver, you have to win Thursday. Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I think you have to at least exit the first 2 weeks at 1-1 at worst. Hopefully 2-0, but just 1-1 at worst. If we're 0-2, a lot of red flags there because the schedule is not that easy the first, half of the season. So we'll find out. But leave in the comments, do you expect to win this game? I don't know. Maybe I'll wake up Sunday morning and feel like we are going to win. I have no idea, but we'll find out. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this game, and I'll talk to you guys next time.